What's going on, guys? Are we live? It looks like we're live. Getting some adjustment here on the camera. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day it is that you're watching this. I'm getting our tabs all queued up so that we can talk about some upcoming motorcycles that I will be doing some riding reviews on. I'm going to talk about some upcoming videos that I have either already filmed and that will be soon to release, or I will also be talking about just different plans and different things that I'm going to be doing with the channel. So with that, if it's your first time hanging out with the channel, this is the live show. It allows me the opportunity to work through different show ideas and interact directly with you guys and get your direct input. It allows you the opportunity that if you want to contribute to the show, you can through super chats, and you can also, just hang out with each other. A lot of times guys get on here and they just start hanging out, and that's also cool too. Another thing I get to do with this live show is that sometimes videos don't really quite work out as a standalone video. And so those topics, or that script, if you will, it just ends up being put out here and we just run through it on a live show, because sometimes I got to get a little bit more tech heavy with some things, and it would just make a standalone video either way too long or not exactly, I don't know, be a little bit disconjoined, if you will. So first one in is Limes. What's up, man? Hope things are going well for you, bro. So mainly talking about tonight, though, some of the upcoming bikes that I will be reviewing and some of the upcoming videos that I've got coming up. So I've got two, I don't know if you want to call them instructional videos, although I don't really know how else to put it. They're really more, do you call them how-to videos? This is the part where, it's like I try to work through this stuff and, talk about it out loud. And sometimes the ideas will kind of land on you. But, when you just kind of put it out there into the universe, as they say. But I guess they're just a little bit more inspiration for getting out there and practice. So I guess they're practice with a purpose type videos. One of those videos is going to be corner entry, which I'll admit is a little bit more of an advanced type of an instruction, but it's still something that you need to do. And so that one will be coming out after a video that I shot today, which is going to be braking and just doing some braking drills and going out there. And it's a bit of a kind of a shot behind the scenes too, because you'll get to see what I do with the motorcycles before I actually get a chance to ride them. And so in the video that's going to drop tomorrow morning, it'll be like around like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, I think, when it uploads. In that video, what you're going to see is you're going to see part of the process of me getting to know a motorcycle. And this is something that is real important for any rider to do when you are first thrown a leg over an unfamiliar motorcycle, or, a bike that maybe you hadn't ridden in a while. Maybe it's a bike that, you're thinking about test driving, but you don't have a lot of experience with this type of bike. So what it is this, it's an exercise to help you develop strong braking skills and being able to see and look through the turn and things like that. So I've got two videos that are going to be coming up that are going to be going over that. One of them is, like I say, the corner entry one is pretty exciting to watch, because there's a couple of times where I am really hammering corner entry. I say really hammering. For the street, I'm riding spiritedly. It's not at my pace, but it's quick enough to where you'll say, oh, that looks like fun. And what I'm doing is I'm talking you through as I'm looking through the turn. So Tim Zan, what's going on? Saying, hey, from Australia, excited about the new GSX-R 1000 for the world. Hopefully they bring the 750 and 600 back, as we don't get them here in Australia. So Tim, I'm glad you checked in early, because here's the thing. I do want to talk about this, and I want to talk about the GSX-R 1000 And I will be talking about this bike as we get into the R1 portion of this chat. I got to say, I've got a little bit of a concern with the new Gixxer Thal, and it's a bit of a concern, but it's not with the bike itself. The bike itself is going to be really good. And if you guys want me to, and it might be better that I do this in a live show, if you guys want me to, I can walk you through like a high altitude view of why Suzuki is running bigger throttle bodies, bigger exhaust valves, wider lobe separation on the camshafts. I can kind of walk you through and higher compression. So I can sort of walk you through some of that, but it can kind of get a little bit heady, but I can definitely do that. But I know what I guess the whole reason why I'm saying that is I know what Suzuki is trying to do. And Suzuki is doing the same things that European manufacturers have done by slamming that lobe separation out real wide. And in effect, in this case, you know, if we're turning it this way, this is your exhaust lobe. And when you advance it, you're moving it this way, which makes that lobe separation wider, which if you notice, cuts down on your overlap. You cut down on overlap, dragging it out this way, you're going to have less of a shared time of opening between the intake and the exhaust valve, which is what kills scavenging, and scavenging is what promotes cylinder fill. And this bike is down on power. The reason why it's down on power is because it's shooting itself in the foot in two different areas. One, it doesn't have the scavenging. And so what it's trying to do is it's making the intake larger, talking about the throttle body, velocity stacks, and all that. It makes that larger because that hole becomes more active. And what it's also doing is it's opening up the exhaust port by 1 millimeter to try to get all of that exhaust out as fast as it can, because when that exhaust valve is opening earlier, it's opening earlier with more pressure still in the combustion chamber. So you need a bigger hole to get the more pressure out. And so there's the quick and easy explanation. But the thing that kind of is weird to me is the higher compression ratio. Higher compression is definitely good, but the funny thing is that with a wider LSA, with a much more active intake port, what can happen is you're going to have a bike that's going to be more susceptible to knock. It's going to run great on, say, pump gas, or if you tune it for E85. Is that why this fuel pump is so much bigger? I don't know. Is that why they changed the type of injectors? I don't know. But at 13.8 to 1, that's a lot. And so now you're going to have to come down with timing. That's okay. Timing does not equal power. The proper amount of timing is what equals power. You just run the most timing you can until you see a drop in power. You drop it back 2 degrees, and that's your timing value for that RPM. That is a very oversimplified, but very still accurate statement. So what Suzuki is doing and the reason why I didn't finish my thought, the reason why it's a double whammy is also because you have a lack of scavenging. Okay, well, you need a better exhaust system to at least help with evacuating the cylinder with the larger valves. And the problem is that you don't have as much time, tick-tock time, for scavenging. So you need bigger exhaust valves. You need better flowing exhaust. And the last thing you want is to deadhead a collector right into a freaking catalytic converter cell called a biscuit. You don't want to deadhead it right into that cat biscuit, because that kills all of your scavenging. So when you see the power is down, what you might want to do is you might want to check all of the specs on this bike. I've already dug into this, and you know me. I mean, for those of you that may be new to the channel, I was the guy that used to design camshafts for different race shops. And I kind of know a little bit about this kind of stuff as far as engine building and engine science, engine mathing and all that stuff. That was kind of my job for a hot minute. So that's what they're up to. That's what the engineering team at Suzuki is trying to do. And So it works in terms of reducing emissions. Anytime you have a lower amount of overlap, you have a lower amount. You have a well, you are introducing less emissions through the exhaust, and you're also allowing for a cleaner burn all the way through. And it's interesting in a way when you think about it, because with modern exhaust systems, even modern catalytic converters, modern fuel injection, and everything else that comes with the modern, just how powerful modern computers are for these bikes, they still don't use a wideband O2. What? Anyway, they still don't use a wideband O2, at least most of them don't. But it's still a very sophisticated system, and it is far and away cleaner than motorcycles of not that long ago. So it's just funny to me that manufacturers are so hemmed up. These are motorcycle manufacturers are so hemmed up by EPA regulations. These are sport bikes again, and I'll go back to saying, I mean, it is funny to me because the amount of pollutants that these machines produce is very, very, very low. Anyway, so here we are. This is the law. This is what everybody voted for, apparently. So this is what we have to deal with. But anyway, getting back to it, I'm looking forward to the new bike. I will say this, after much thinking about it, I may be crab walking a little bit or crawfishing away from the 2026 bike. I'm going to have to spend some time with one before I'm going to give up my GSXR 1000 to get that bike. Guys, my bike is set up so nicely for the type of riding that I do. And I don't ever get any kind of interference from the nannies. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit on the fence with the new bike. It's because I have one of these things already. It's just a prior generation that doesn't have the nanny interference. And I'll tell it to you another way. I've ridden now Aprilia Tuono, I've ridden the CBR 1000, and I've ridden the R1, and all of which have got very similar types of rider aids, wheelie control, slide control, all of that. I've ridden those bikes. And the thing is, and we're going to talk about this for just a hot second, but the reason why I'm kind of stepping away a little bit from the 26 just for now is just how intrusive some of these nannies can be. And I get it, you can turn them off. And this is another thing. I almost feel like I need to spend more time with that R1. So let me check in with you guys and we're going to start talking about it. Ryan is in. Oh, got the ball guy with the flex and the specs. Oh, from Square Force to the hub-mounted radial. Don't forget the Delvac opposed piston engines. Still very popular to have in locomotives, in vintage locomotive shows. Ryan's in saying, hot take. I watched a video today on a big channel where they rank middleweight super sport bikes, 600 to 990, placed GSXR 750 in B tier. It was mentioned that it had failed upward in the class. So the funny thing is about the GSXR 750, talking about that bike as B tier is like saying that a medium rare petite fillet is medium tier because it doesn't have what something else has in terms of trimmings. If you judge it on the bike itself and not the rest of the gadgets and gizmos, again, that I was just lamenting a second ago, that is keeping me from buying a motorcycle, by the way, then so be it. But I'll tell you this, when augmented, the GSXR 750 is a nasty bike to deal with in the middleweight class. And notice nobody is running the R9 against a GSX-R 750 on the street. You always see them run up against an R6 or another 600. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? See what I'm saying? So let's be real here. If GSX-R 750 is B tier, I mean, if it's B tier, then I don't know what they're talking about. Ryan saying, thought it was interesting. I think it firmly belongs in either A or B. I mean, I don't know. I would say it needs to be as high as you can place it, because, and you can call it for what it is. It is a hell of a good bike. And the issue with the 750, let me just put it to you this way. I will agree with them in one area with the Gixxer 750. And that is that Suzuki has not done anything with it from an engine standpoint to make it more than what it is. I'm not saying you need more, but I'm saying that if you look at the leader class of bikes, Gixxer FAL, my bike is 13.2 to 1. The new bike is 13.6. The R1 is 13 to 1. The BMW is like 13.2 or 13.6. You've got the CBR 1000, which is 13.2. You can kind of see where this is going. You know, that the GSX-R 750 is a 12.5 to 1. By today's standards, it's practically an agriculture motor with no quick shifter, but with a phenomenal chassis and no encumbrance. And so I'm not trying to sell you a GSX-R 750 here. I'm just saying that Suzuki needs to bring that bike back into the world that we're all living in. And it's not, look, it's not that they can't do it. Just take the TFT out of the GSX 8R, boop, put that on the GSX-R 600 and 750 and 1000. Give it a quick shifter. Are you allergic to quick shifters, Suzuki, for this bike? At least make it an option the way that Honda made it an option for the CBR 1000. You know, there are things that you can do to that bike to really bring it into the modern era without taking away from what makes that bike so great. In fact, you might be adding to it. Bumping that engine up to 13 to 1 would do a lot to get that bike some love. The only problem with that is that you need a market to do it in. And I'm sorry, but it just pains me to say this, but I don't see Suzuki making that bike Euro 5 compliant anytime real soon without some significant changes. However, I could be proven very wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong in this case because we keep being told that at EICMA, something is going to drop. So we'll see. Is it going to be a big deal or not? We don't know. But I would enjoy like hell seeing a GSX-R 1000 for 2026 or 2027 rolling across a stage that's got a TFT, a more powerful, honest to goodness, more powerful engine. And, you know, maybe it does have some rider aids. And I want to talk about the GSX-R 750 a little bit too, but let me get into the R1. I've got to talk about the R1 so that I can talk about the Gixxer 26, the 1K for 26 and the 750. So I feel like I need to get to some stuff with that. So let me get on my job real quick, guys. And if I miss you or if it takes me a hot minute to get to you, I apologize, but I do got to get to work. So let's get into this. Okay, we're going to talk about the Yamaha R1 first. And I'm showing the black one only because y'all know what the blue one looks like. This is the other color that they sell this bike in. Now, this is the 25 I rode. I think it was a 19 is what I rode today. I'm hoping that's correct. I hope it's not a 20, but either way, it doesn't matter. I kept saying it was a 19. Anyway, it's the same bike, doesn't matter. The point of this is that the R1 is the standout, just absolute winner of the award of most surprised me for bikes that I've ridden. The reason for that is this, that 2019 bike that I rode, that bike surprised me with the ergonomics. Let me just say this. The R1 threw me off initially when I first sat on that bike. And the way it felt initially, I don't know what the deal was with the bike that I sat on. Maybe I was just wearing the wrong shoes that day. I don't know. But when I sat on it, I felt real cramped on it. In fact, I didn't feel balanced on that bike. And it wasn't as bad as the Triple R CBR, but it was right up there. It was better than the ZX10R for me, but it wasn't like the Gixxer where I was like, I sat on it and everything just went right into place. This bike was different. I sat on it and it felt funky. And then, fun fact, I took it to go take a round to the back. Now, what I'll do is I'll grab a bike. The guys will get it ready. Like, they'll make sure it's got pressure in the tire, make sure the gas is in the tank. And then I'll grab it and I'll run it to the back lot. And I'll run it through a couple of braking tests, and I'll do a bunch of start stops with it to get used to the friction zone of the clutch, to get used to how the brakes feel. How does this thing like to accelerate? Make sure that there's nothing weird, because brand new bikes, weird stuff happens a lot more than you may think. And used bikes, God only knows what's going on with that. So I took this thing around the block real quick and then came into the back lot. And I was already like, at first, it just did not come together. I was going, oh, this is going to suck. And as I had taken it right around the block, I made it like maybe an eighth of the mile with the thing. And then it just clicked. I went, oh, shoot. And it's like I just kind of shimmied my ass a little bit, and it was like bewitched, and everything worked out great. Then it became literally one of the most comfortable sport bikes I've ever ridden. And it felt a lot like my GSXR 750, and everything just kind of gelled with this thing. And so that was a big surprise for me. The second thing about that bike is obviously the noise. If I don't mention it, I'm not even doing my job if I don't mention how good this bike sounds in person. But that being said, it's because of how that engine runs that it becomes so endearing in one respect. And that is, it's so smooth. There's no buzziness. It's literally like you're either riding a V4 or you're riding a parallel twin that just happens to rev like crazy, in that you don't feel any buzziness in the pegs. You don't feel any buzziness in the handlebars. What you will feel is when you start pouring on the gas on this thing, you'll feel it in the handlebars more than anything else. This drive that the bike has, it's awesome. And I'd never ridden this bike before. I did not know what to expect with the R1. Now, in full disclosure with the R1, it did have a tow. I said in the video, it's a full system. It's actually a half system, but it's easy to remove the cat on this bike. So it's got a really good header from the factory. So aftermarket exhaust, but that it's a Tochi, however you say it, sounds freaking amazing on this bike. It's loud as hell. But here's the thing, because it's a cross-plane crank, it doesn't have that weird ear-piercing sound to it. So you can have it loud and it doesn't really hurt your ears. In fact, if you've got, let's say you're ex-military, ex-first responder, whatever the case is, you've got like tinnitus in your ears or something like that, and four cylinders have a weird habit. Different bikes have a weird pitch that will absolutely drive it nuts. This bike can't do it. The octave is way too low. And so I know that is a stretch to try to find a positive, but I swear to you, as somebody that understands how that can be very annoying, this bike is so good. I didn't even have my earbuds in when I was making this video, and I was extremely comfortable riding this bike from a tone standpoint and a loudness standpoint. So, and I didn't really make that point in the ride along or in the post ride. So that's why I wanted to have R1 chat, so I could dive into this a little bit deeper. As far as the brakes go, very good, just as what you would expect. And the only beef that I have with this bike, and this is where I kind of need y'all's help with this R1. Okay, so it comes with the rider aids, and this is why I want to talk about this is where I'm going to compare directly with the GSX-R 1000, because they're about the same horsepower, about the same torque. They have the exact same wheelbase. So, you can talk about them both in the same respect. The 25, my bike, in A1 mode, which is to say max power, and 1 is just the most numbed version of wheelie control, which is baked into the cake of your technology suite. You adjust all of them with one button, and they're not separate. You can't separate them. You've got wheelie control, traction control, slide control. All of that is in mode 1. Well, the R1, you can adjust. You can adjust wheelie control separate from, I think, slide control. Engine braking is also in there, which is really cool. But I had the bike set up to all ones, which is the least intrusive. And I was still getting a substantial amount of nannies kicking in. And if you watch the ride-along video, okay, so there's a series of overpasses that I'll go over. The last one is the one with the big expansion joint. And that's the one that if the suspension's not really set up right, it'll bounce you right off the seat. This thing did really good with that, by the way. It just soaked it up better than most. Certainly, probably number 1 or number 2 in the class on that big bump. Anyway, I exit there, I turn around, and I get the bike back onto the freeway for the return trip back over to Goodyear. And I don't really ever wail on the bike, but I'm certainly rolling. I'm letting it just kind of go through the arc of the tachometer, if you will. And with the GSX-R 1000, you can just roll that thing through. You'll get a slight power wheelie, and it'll just set it right down. It makes it happy. And there's no real interference with that 2025 GSX-R 1000. And the stock GSX-R 1000 is rowdier than my bike because it's got more aggressive gearing, and it's got more the factory tune, and the factory exhaust has more partial throttle, low RPM response. It's what happens when you put full exhaust on a bike. You give a little to get a lot. Well, in this case, what you give up is a lot of that extremely strong punch that the Suzuki has. And even with that, it'll let you play. I mean, but even to this day, I've got to remind myself, okay, I'm on a stock bike. This thing's a little rowdy down low. Well, the thing is you do that. But if you compare this bike that I rode, which had the full exhaust and presumably a tune, although I don't think it had a tune, if I'm being honest. Or if they did kind of an assed out job on this thing. I would have looked for better. But the way that this bike ran, I knew that it had chops, but I was getting nannies. And the idea here, boys, is that I was in love with this bike already. Okay. And I'm just going, shit, I'm about to have me some fun with this thing. And the idea was just to get it on the freeway and just kind of out of prying eyes, just basically getting onto the freeway, a little bit of a one-wheel endeavor. Just try to power wheelie the thing, getting onto the freeway and just kind of letting it drop down on that right-hander and just having some fun with the bike. And it's not like in my bike, it just does it, right? And with the Gixxer, it just does it in A1. This bike wouldn't let you get away with that. It was a lot like the Aprilia, where you're rolling into the Honda was the exact same way in mode 1, where you're rolling into the throttle and you feel it, just kind of pulsating almost. The Honda was the most pronounced, but it was also in a manufacturer defined preset mode, as was the Tuono. Did the same thing. This one, in the manual mode, dropping all those modes down, was still more intrusive than I thought that it should have been. And if I had a chance to spend more time with it, I'd have left traction control probably alone and put wheelie control at 0, which makes a big difference, by the way. And engine braking was fine, but I'd still maybe ramp it up. Another thing that shame on me, I did not mention this in this video, in both of the ride along or the post ride. The bike that I was riding had a set of, all right, everybody go ahead and sigh now and get it out of your system. Had a set of GPR 300s, and that tire on that bike is not all that great. And where it came into not being all that great is the second time you see me getting that bike onto the freeway at Goodyear, where it goes first gear, second gear, I'm rolling into the throttle, third gear, pin it. Bike tries to do a rolling burnout coming up on that on-ramp because it's dusty over there. And, I like to, it's fun to do fun thing. Anyway, try to grab third, hazing the tire, get into fourth, still haze the tire. Nannies are going completely batshit at this point in time. And so I'm laughing the entire time because I'm just having a ball with this thing. And it's not letting me do the Hooney shit that I was trying to get away with. So anyway, good on the bike for, the nannies were definitely doing their job. But I got to say, that the nanny thing is the thing that bothers me about the upcoming GSXR 1000. I am cautiously optimistic that the nannies are such that they can be, I know you can turn them off, but what I would like to see is a system that is the same as the existing system that the bike has now in terms of sensitivity. And let's say maybe you can turn off wheelie control, but you still get, or you can turn off even anti-slide. And you can adjust engine braking or whatever the other things are that you can adjust, but that you don't get too far away from what we have today with that bike, because it lets you get away with a lot more than the R1, the CBR, or the Tuono. But you still have a level in there that is there in a just in case moment. I run my bike in A1. I don't turn anything off. For kind of a weird reason, because you got to remember my Gixxer 750 doesn't have any of that. My Daytona doesn't have any of that. And you guys have seen how I ride those bikes. I've never had any kind of nanny intervention while I am at an elevated pace. Read into that what you will, with the Gixxer Thal. I mean, I've had that bike way over on the side of the tire. It'll allow me to push out through the turn on corner exit. I can be on the power looking exactly where I want to go, and it'll still allow for a little bit of push, a little bit of wheel spin as I'm kind of tracking the back of the bike out. These bikes, I haven't had a chance to run them like that, but I will say this, GPR 300s on a freaking R1, yeah, you're not going to see me out there trying to raise hell with an R1 on a set of GPR 300s. I mean, you could, but you're certainly handicapping yourself. And it will probably be the tires that were triggering this bike so much and not necessarily the nannies themselves. But with that being said, this is the riding experience that I had. And so that's what I have to report. But certainly loved the bike. So what does all this mean in terms of my future relationship with an R1? I have made it clear that if the R1 that I rode today ends up getting real long in the tooth on the floor, I will probably go ahead and pick it up. And the reason for that, it's not the R1 that I want. I will do a full red conversion on that bike with black rims if I have to. With a tune and probably an M4 exhaust. And that would be the bike that I would probably ride the most. I have got a thing. Hold on, see if I can find one real quick. Bear with me. So after riding this bike, let me just kind of walk you through what I am looking for. And I don't know the years that have this color scheme. I'm still very new to R1s. But The bike that I would be searching for, let me get this pulled up here. Let me just tell you the bike that I'd be searching for. You know, call me crazy, but so this is the bike that I would be looking for, the red one. And you know, if it did work out that I got the one that at Stubbs, I would literally, I would just go aftermarket fairings, red, find a red tank, and that would be the bike. Black wheels. And I would rock the hell out of that bike. And I would just turn everything off, you know, that you need to turn off, turn everything down, whatever the case is, and have a bike that is comfortable to ride, that's plenty fast. I'm not looking, if I do end up getting an R1, my goal is not to have the R1 as fast as Red Alert. Red is as the GSX R1000. That bike is phenomenal, but I want an R1. Like the GSX R1000 to me speaks to just the inner asshole that I can be. You know what I mean? Like when I'm looking to actually just, I am looking to do things with a motorcycle. Like I am going out for hard practice. I want to do just, and if you can keep up, good on you, but I doubt it. That's when I'm going to be on that. When I'm in just a real aggressive mood, Gixxer 1000 is the bike for me. I love that bike. It's a sweetheart. But that bike does bring out a little bit of the devil in me. The R1, damn, man, it's just a buddy of a bike, man. It is the most, and this is the weird thing, and it's going to sound like I'm just saying it for the sake of saying it, but it was the most playful. It was the most, just so different. It's just like having it doesn't feel as fast, although you can make it plenty fast, and it doesn't handle the way that the Gixxer does, but that's like a tire away, because this thing comes with a 190/50, which is like, what? Put a 190/55 on the back of this thing and have a proper tune on it, a proper sounding exhaust. And this is the bike that you just go riding, man. This is the bike that you ride because you want to ride a motorcycle, and it's the noise, it's the sound, it's the playfulness, the torque response, all of that. That's what you ride this bike for. And, you know, this is the bike that you ride when your buddies want to go tear their heads off and you just want to go play through the twisties. That's the bike you want to be on. And so there is a place in my garage for this exact R1 that's on the screen right now. Let me know. Anyway, that is R1 chat in the can, as they say. Let me check in with you real quick. Oh yeah, and we can also talk about that CBR 1000 if you guys have any questions on that. Any of the bikes that I've ridden lately, just let me know. Ryan saying, love the R1 video. Holy Santa, is that exhaust note sick? Yes, it is. Ryan's checking in with Sam. Ryan saying, yeah, two-wheel Dynaworks got 140 wheel horsepower of an R9 with tune and a pipe. Well, sorta. It ain't just a tune and a pipe. It's a tune, a pipe, cams, extensive tuning, airbox, a thinner head gasket. There is a lot of work. That is a $4,500 kit that they had to put on that bike, not including the tuning to get it there. It's good news for the R1 guys that want to go racing. But I think, and I hate to say it like this because it just is such a, it's such a thing. But look at, okay, let's say you're going club racing and you don't have restrictors and you don't have any restrictions at all. And your CC is 600 to 900. In that respect, the R9 is really good, except for the nasty little affliction that it has with not being able to spin much higher than 12,000 RPM. a GSXR 750 with a quick shifter added to it is going to be able, and with race tuning with a stock motor on race gas, on not talking about spec fuel, but I mean, you're looking at 135, 140 horsepower, and then you can gear the hell out of it because it's got RPM. And I know that because I used to run, that's my bike. That's what I used to run at Thunder Hill, and used to upset a lot of leader bikes on that track with that 750, not because I made more power, which I did not. What I had was a good amount of power with a lot of gearing in my favor, and it's a lot more flickable, and there's a lot more going for the 750, provided you just put the work into it. But you do not have to put the work into the 750 that you have to with that R9. Lime saying, when I watched on Saturday, I had a lot of commercials. So that's a YouTube thing now. I don't know why it's doing that, but I'm even getting hit with commercials. What's funny is I can't even watch my own show without getting hit up with commercials. Oh, Ryan saying, great points. How many? Let me ask you this. I'm going to see if I can fix something on that line when it comes to commercials. Let me see what I can do to fix that, if there's something I can do. Because the last thing you want is to have a commercial popping up every 5 minutes. That sucks. Ryan saying, great points, B, on the 750. They had the GSXR 600 in D tier. The video did pick on bikes that hadn't changed in years. ZX6R was C. Oh, that's not a good place for that bike. You can tell they prefer newer tech bikes, and of course the Italians. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Let me talk about that. An R9 versus a 636 on the street is not as in the 636's favor as you might think. The R9 is still a pretty stout bike from a power to weight ratio. It's got decent torque, but you start race prepping things, and the 636 is it's a monster on a track. You don't leave that bike stock, especially in terms of gearing for the track. And you're limited by gearing with the R9. So yeah, the R9, walks around thinking it's got everything handled. And then 636, or hell, even a Gixxer 600 shows up to the party with like a 1 down, 2 up type of gearing split, and still carries a top speed of about 140 miles an hour, but has got a ton of gearing in its favor. It's going to make the work hard on an R9, even with a lot of prep. And here's the other thing. It's 900 freaking cc's, guys. Like, this is the other thing. We live in a world where 600cc motorcycles are compared to 900cc motorcycles as though they're on the same playing field. That is a 50 freaking percent jump in displacement. And I mean, look, if we all know our basic engine vernacular ain't no replacement for displacement, 50% more? I mean, holy cow. That's the walking around equivalent of, a 302 versus a 454, right? Like, what? Like, at some point, you just have to look at it for what it is. And it's handicap racing. If you want to compare the R9 to another bike, at least let it pick on somebody its own size. GSXR 750 with some trimmings is going to make work of that R9. Man, I just blew past everybody. Hang on just a second, guys. Bringing it back around. Sam's talking about some old motors. Square 4. Yeah, there was Square 4. Lots of crazy motors back then. Ryan saying, get to work, would you? Yes, I will. Ryan saying Toshi. I'll just call it Toshi. Exhaust slip-ons have made their way into Indian bike, seen and heard on a Challenger. Great tone. I tell you what, they sound good, don't they? Ryan saying, smash that like button. Yes, spike the like. Ryan saying, I for one am shocked that you want a red bike. You know what? You would almost think that it has to be a prerequisite. In fact, if they had a red, well, there kind of was a red. If there was a red and white GSXR 750, I probably would have got it. But I don't know. I'm a sucker for traditional blue. But yeah, imagine me wanting a red bike. Sovereign's in. Well, come on in. Learn something about bikes. It's fun. Sovereign's saying mods get hit with commercials too. I get hit with, like I said, I get hit on my own. Oh, Sovereign just got hit with one. I jinxed myself. I mean, if it's one here and there, that's one thing. But on replay, I don't want guys to get smoked on that. You know what I mean? That sucks. Okay, so we're going to shift gears. We're going to go into upcoming bikes for review. And so this is the fun part. This is where I get to give you guys a bit of a sneak peek as to what we are up to and what we will be seeing coming in future videos. So let me get this pulled up for you real quick. The first thing, guys, this is one taken forever to make it to the party. Finally. Oh my God. Has it been this long already? Tiger Sport 800 is going to be on the main stage for tomorrow. I am very excited about this motorcycle being on the main stage because I've been trying to get a demo ride on this thing now for what, a year? Anyway, finally got around to making it happen. It's going to happen tomorrow. And the reason why I've been wanting to do this bike is because I really did kind of I'm not going to say fall in love. I fell in crush with the Tiger Sport 660 when it first came out. And the reason why I like the Tiger Sport is because I rode the Trident. And the Trident at that time had a real wonky throttle mapping. It was arguably just bad. But the Tiger Sport 660's throttle mapping was actually really good. Anyway, it was a lot of fun to ride that bike. And with this new bike now coming out, it's got some impressive specs. For its class, it's stout. You're looking at 113 horsepower, 70 foot-pounds of torque, and the bike checks in full of gas, full of fluids at 470 pounds. Not exactly a lightweight, but it's aggressively geared. It'll rev out to 10,500 RPM. It's a proper sport bike in that respect. And as a matter of fact, if you're looking at the specs of this thing, it starts to look oddly, and I mean real oddly, like an R9, at least until you look at the weight. But look at it like this. It's the same horsepower as the CP3 in essence. And if this bike just weighed about 70 pounds less, I mean, it is an adventure bike after all, and it's built as such. But with a little bit of weight reduction, and if you squint your eyes and turn your head just right, it's a sport bike with a lift kit. And that's how I described its littler brother, its smaller sibling, when I first rode that bike. So anyway, I'm very much looking forward to riding this motorcycle. For an urban assault bike, it's tough to beat as long as you're not looking at it from a value prop. Now, what I'm interested in is I want to see what this bike is like compared to the V-Strom 800. Now, y'all know me. I love me some 776 parallel twin. This is a bigger engine making a lot more horsepower, about 33 more horsepower. But that being said, what's it going to ride like? Is all that horsepower just out there at like 10,500 RPM? Or is it going to be punchy like the V-Strom? Only one way to find out, and we will be finding that out tomorrow. So that's something that I don't know. That's something that I'm very much looking forward to, is riding this thing. The next one we're going to look at, and this is one that I've actually wanted to do for a hot minute, and there's two of them I'm going to show you, and it looks like I'm going to get to do both of them on the same day. The first one is the Transalp 750. Guys, Transalp 750 for me, I will have ridden the Tiger Sport 800 will be before these bikes. The reason why I want to ride the Transalp 750 in the same, under the same proximity as the Tiger Sport 800 is I know this bike makes less power. But one of the bikes that I really did like was the Tiger Sport 850. Keep in mind, it is a completely different bike than the 800. It makes significantly less power than the Transalp. But that 850 was the bike that really sparked me onto these types of bikes. And it doesn't get more of these types of bikes than the Transalp, especially when you're looking at a middleweight. This bike shares the same engine as the Hornet, so it's 100 horsepower, and it's going to run good. That's the thing. So I am looking forward to this latest crop of adventure bikes, these middleweight adventure bikes that I get to try out. I'm not expecting the Transalp to be able to keep pace with the Tiger Sport in terms of outright acceleration or whatever, but that's not the mission statement for bikes like this. And the ability to be very versatile, again, a sport utility bike. This is a bike that's going to have more of the utility than sport, but again, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm kind of a sucker for this. And freaking, by the way, the red, white, and blue Transalp with the gold rims in person is a stunning bike to look at. I mean, freaking stunning. Absolutely love the look of that bike. It may not be that bike that I'm doing the ride and review on, but it is there, and there's one on premises, and it's nice. And last but not least, another bike that I've been wanting to do, and this is a bike that nobody has asked for. Maybe a couple of people have asked for this, but not a ton. The Shadow Phantom. Okay, I've got several reasons why I want to ride this particular bike. Number one, it's economical. This bike is $8,700, and it's 750cc V-twin. It is a cruiser. It's a bit of a Me Too bike. It's got the bobber styling, but the reason why I like it is that it's very inexpensive. It has Honda reliability. And this is a type of bike that, folks just kind of gravitate towards. And it's not just in the States necessarily, but globally, this bike, folks love it. So I'm looking forward to putting this one together. Just because I want to ride it. I don't know. I've got to think, listen, I've got a thing for Japanese cruisers. I've got a thing for them, and I don't know why. I can't explain it. I don't know why I like them as much as I do, but I'm kind of a sucker for metric cruisers. It's weird, especially bikes like this. So, I loved the Rebel 1100, and I don't know if maybe that sparked my interest a little bit, but anyway, just so you know, this exact bike, it looks like is coming up here pretty soon. DM is in. So DM missed part of the R1 chat. This is what we are on the hunt for right now. So I've just got I'm a sucker for red, like you guys know, and yeah, a red 2019 R1. I need this in my life. I need this desperately in my life. So just saying. I'm on the prowl right now. And again, getting back to the R1, that was the main focus of the chat tonight, though. Look, it's going to have to end like this, guys. I have not had as much fun with a bike as I've had with the R1 in a long time. A bike that is supposed to be so serious, a bike that is supposed to be the one of the ends of the conversation. In fact, from a like a roll racing standpoint, even, I mean, these bikes are up there with the best in terms of outright power. But the R1 to me just did not take itself so seriously. I think that this bike, again, reflashed, a 190/55 rear tire, an M4 exhaust, or the Toshi for that matter, sounds amazing. This bike to me was just such a fun buddy bike. And look, I love my Gixxer 750, don't get me wrong. And I'm looking forward to putting some content together with that bike once I get it back with the quick shifter, the M4 exhaust, and all of that. But I have to admit, guys, I'm kind of more of a leader bike guy at heart. It's not that I don't appreciate the 750, and it's not that I don't love it. It's just that I rode an R1, and that's probably where I screwed up first. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And it may be that the 750, we do the content with the 750. I can only get you guys so much content with that bike, right? I mean, it's a GSXR 750. There's a lot of them out there, but not as many red R1s. And so anyway, if you know of anybody that's trying to let go of one, let me know. That's how much fun I had with the bike. Again, I would like to spend more time with it to learn the electronic suite a little bit better, turn some stuff off, even at the most lenient, the least intrusive settings. The R1 was still very proactive with how it was activating either wheelie control or slide control or traction control. All of that, I would have liked for that to have not been as intrusive. And that's one of the reasons why I would pick this R1 over the 2026 GSXR 1000. There, I said it. And the reason that I would is because if the Gixxer Thal has all of the same types of nannies that the R1 does, I've already got a Gixxer Thal that's set up like just chef's kiss, baby. My Gixxer Thal's the shit. But so's this R1. And I am here to tell you boys right now, yeah, that Gixxer 750 would get traded in on this bike like that, like right now, like on your mark, get set. Oh, we were already done on your mark. Okay. So I'm just saying. Right. Ryan saying leader class bikes changes your perception of fast. It is a paradigm shift. So here's the thing. Here's what a leader class bike will do. And you've got to know this is coming from the bottom. I mean, I'm not saying this. Let me say what I got to say, and I think you'll understand what I mean. I feel more comfortable on a leader bike. I feel more in control on a leader bike than I do on a middleweight. I feel more confident on a leader bike from what I can get away with a leader bike. And I feel like it is easier for me to, in overall riding scenarios, it's easier for me to control the leader bike. The reason for that is, and Sovereign's asking real quick. I want to answer this before I get into this. A liter, Liter, it's 1,000 cc's. So it's the volume. The amount of displacement is the same as a liter of volume. Like 6.2 liter. This is a liter is 1 liter. So why leader bike and not a middleweight? Leader bikes have a lot stronger engine braking. Leader bikes have a lot stronger corner exit. And so I feel like I can control the placement of the bike easier with the extra power. So when I'm coming through an apex with a middleweight and I'm wide open with the middleweight, I am actively seeking a line with that bike. I'm literally pushing that bike with the handlebars towards the line on a right-hander, for example, as I'm looking through that corner. Leader bike, downshift, pick your line, drop it in. If you're going slow enough to carry maintenance throttle, apex, rolling into the throttle, rolling hard into the throttle. And as that bike is standing up, it'll start to drift to the outside. And I can control the amount of drift with the throttle. And so as I'm looking where I want to go, I can set the lineup with the throttle, and I know the bike is going to be right where I want it to be. And then you just start pouring the coal to it. That's where a leader bike for me is simply more controllable. I just feel a little bit better when I'm on a leader bike. That's not to say the 750 isn't fun, but there's a world of difference. And look, on a chain of long sweepers that you're really only going to be going, say, 140-ish miles an hour on, and that's on corner exit, your average speed might be, say, 120, 125. The Gixxer 750 is perfect for that kind of stuff. But you're definitely working the bike harder, even though it's going to handle better. But the leader bikes are just so good. They're so rich. And dude, it's an R1. So you get the soundtrack to come along with it. Egad, my friend. It's amazing. Let's see. Oh, what did I miss? Here we go. Sovereign, I talked to Paul about it. And talking about the collab on the Hurricane 6 in the Viper. I've already talked to Paul on it. I haven't seen the video, but I talked to him about it. Ryan saying the good thing about all the disparity with middleweight super sports, so many choices. And look, that's another thing. That's why I like bikes so much, is that, man, there are so many different seats and so many asses that, I mean, it's such a diverse community. And that's why I absolutely love them. I get to interact with folks all over the world with, all different, backgrounds and motorcycle preferences, and they're all right. You get talking to guys that are like, man, the Trident 660, I love it. I'm like, man, I love it too, because I love bikes of all shapes and sizes. I am like the universal motorcycle loving guy. I've never met a bike I didn't like, or at least I didn't find something in the bike to like. But there's so many, like in the middleweight class, there's like, you could get a deck of cards and put a different card on every bike, it seems like. So that's a really cool thing for me. And that's why I just absolutely love, having this opportunity. I'm so blessed and thankful to have this opportunity to be able to get out there and bring these kind of bikes to you guys. I hope y'all like it. But I'm having as much fun. Oh, and that's another thing. I am having as much fun as it sounds. Yes, I am. And so I want to, I meant to do this. Oh, I'm deep into this and I needed to do this. So I know that it can get a little bit annoying, especially when I get a little bit over exuberant when I'm doing the ride along videos. Sorry, but not sorry. I'm having a ball. I'm having a blast. And that is my actual reaction to the bike in real time. And when I'm narrating those ride alongs, those kind of things just kind of happen along the way. So I'm having a blast, and it really is that much fun with these bikes. Even like with like the Continental GT, that Royal Enfield. I mean, all of these bikes are always fun, even when you think that they might not be. They always are. Oh, the Transalp, yeah, the Translap, yeah. Dylan. Yeah, that's yeah. Now the Transalp's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that bike. Oh, Ryan's not liking the way the Hurricane sounds. It doesn't resonate too well. Ryan say, I've considered the Transalp. Would be interesting riding the Transalp next to the new V-Strom. It would be. It's gonna be the exact same though as the Hornet versus the GSX-8R. I think. Oh, Sovereign's hanging out. Sovereign saying it's a Racer X kind of bike. The color scheme. Oh, yeah. Let's see. You skip down here a little bit, guys, and I got to check out. Sorry, need trifocals. I need my reading glasses, that's for sure. What's funny is I think I have selective hearing. I'm saying rip eyes. That's funny. Got y'all hanging out. I like it. But with that guy, DM said, B, when you were riding the R1, I saw you absorbing information and forming an opinion while really enjoying yourself. Man, so DM, let me tell you something, bro. It was funny because I'm glad you said it perfectly. I mean, I could not have put it that well. I was literally riding this bike, and every preconceived notion that I had about the R1 was being emptied out of one tank, and all the good vibes and all of the reality of the R1 was filling up the other side of me. And I don't know, man. It was a great bike, man. I had a really good time with it. And again, I liked it so much that I want that one right there. And look, this would just be tune it, put an exhaust on it so I can hear it. So I want to hear that noise. Tires, and I would need to figure out what buttons to push to make it act right. Tail tidy, and maybe a windscreen, maybe not. And you would, if you were to call me on a random Sunday afternoon, that's probably the bike that I would be riding. Him saying, yeah, I'm 54, and with years of range, motors, wind, etc., my hearing isn't crisp. Mine's not bad, but it's not it's probably not as bad as it should be, but it's also not spring chicken. I got another ad. Crap. All right, I need to figure out how to fix that. But anyway, guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Hey, I want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with me. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps the channel a whole lot, as a matter of fact. But again, guys, just so you know, we've got the Transalp coming, the Shadow coming, and we've got the Tiger Sport 800 coming. Should be a lot of fun. Definitely looking forward to all three. I am on the hunt for a red R1. And with that, guys, listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody. Chances are they need it way more than you know. And with that, that's a wrap, boys. Y'all take care.